All right, all the way from Long Beach, California. Let's give it up for West Coast Graffiti. West Coast, welcome to Street Post Exclusive.
What's up, Bobby, man? We're right here chilling, man. Thank you for the invite, homie. It's been a long time. I know we've been chopping it up back and forth here and there. Finally, you know what I mean? We meet up, and finally I'm here. Blessed to be here. Thank you for the invite, homie.
Thank you for pulling up, man. Appreciate you. So let's start from the beginning, man. Where you from?
Long Beach, California. Originally born in LA. I don't even know, bro. I think it's West LA. It's on Big Sur and Fifth. That's where I remember growing up. Big Sur and Fifth in Los Angeles. Went to school out there for my first, I want to say elementary. I went there for 2 years. But yeah, I grew up in Long Beach. I grew up in Long Beach all my life. After that, my mom moved us to Long Beach. I think it was like 1984. So most of my time, well, all my time after that, I spent in Long Beach, man. And I claim Long Beach, homie. I know people are like, man, well, you were born in LA, but I claim Long Beach because that's where I grew up. That's where I know everything, my childhood, all that stuff. So yeah, I love Long Beach and I love LA, but I love Long Beach more, obviously because that's where I grew up, homie.
So what was your upbringing like, man? How was your life growing up?
Well, it was cool, man. It was cool, like everybody else that grew up in the 80s, and I appreciate that a lot because we grew up in a time where we were just out and about all day, every day, We didn't have any worries. I mean, even if we did have worries, we didn't think about it, All we had to worry about was having fun. Where's the next baseball game? Where's the next street ball game? Street football, all that stuff, man. My parents, my mom, well, basically, it sucks to say it this way, but my mom, she wasn't like a single, mom. I didn't grow up in a single parent home, but my dad was following his dream, right? He's an artist. He was a musician back in the days. So he was gone most of the time, you know what I mean? But my mom raised us and with, as much as she could, but, having 4 kids at the house, she couldn't really control everybody. She let us do a lot of things. So we had a lot of freedom. It was cool, man. Grew up kind of poor, in the system. Obviously we had the food stamps and stuff like that. But that's when you appreciate life a little bit more, because you kind of struggle and when you get stuff, you appreciate it a lot more, versus like, and I hate to say it this way, versus my kids. My kids, I'm blessed to give them whatever they want, and again, they appreciate it, obviously. But when you grow up in the struggle, you appreciate things a little bit more. But yeah, in the 80s, it was awesome. I was a kid in the 80s, and in the 90s, I was a teenager. But yeah, in the 80s, breakdancing, that was a big part of my life in the 80s, breakdancing, and yeah, man, it was an interesting time to be alive. And if anybody grew up in the 80s and 90s, you guys know what I'm talking about,
So what was that street life like back in the 80s in Long Beach?
Well, I was a kid, so honestly, I don't really know too much about the street life in the 80s because I was a kid. I was more in the 90s as far as the street life. In the 80s, I saw a lot of people, the drive-bys, the gangs, and all that stuff. And honestly, I gotta say this because I said it once a long time ago. When a lot of people say that the paleteros get robbed and all this, and the loteros get robbed by, we say the blacks, right? And it sucks because when I was a kid in the 80s, I got to see a lot of Latinos do that to our own people. And some people say, oh, well, wait a minute, man, that was in the 80s, you could, look, it happened. Obviously, it didn't get recorded, fine, whatever, but I witnessed that. So I saw a lot of people getting shot, a lot of people doing heroin, a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. When I was a little kid, I think my first dead body that I saw, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, man. And obviously that's something that is gonna stay in your mind. It didn't traumatize me because to me, it just looked like he was sleeping. It wasn't until he got picked up by the ambulance and got covered with that white plastic or that white sheet until I knew that's when, he passed away. But it was interesting, man, to see all that happen before your eyes, man, as a kid. And again, it's not traumatizing to me because I was like, wait a minute, well, this is the life we live, drive-bys, all that, and gangs and everything. It was insane, man. But in the 90s, that's when it really got active for me, at least for me.
Like how?
Well, that's when I really realized, like the the gang movement and the tagging movement, right? That's when I became a tagger in the 90s. I think it was like 1993, 94 when I became a tagger. But I had already seen tagging being like a big movement in, I think it was like 91, 92. And that's when my brother, him and his homeboys became taggers, and they called it a party crew. A lot of people started with party crews. And that was another thing. That was another big movement, party crews. But for me, that's when I realized, like, okay, this is something that, for one, you get the girls. I mean, I ain't even gonna lie. You get the girls because now you're either a gangster or a tagger, and Hyenas love that stuff, man. There's nobody can deny that.
They're like bad boys.
They like bad boys, bro. Exactly. So my thing was, I love graffiti. I'm gonna put it out there. I was never good at it, but I like tagging. I like being part of that life. Going from block to block, going from the streets, and just tagging up your name, your crew, and all that, man. So for me, that's when I really got into the street life. But then getting into the street life also brings other stuff, man. And it's crazy because you associate one thing with another. And for me, when I started tagging and hanging around with my brother, that's when I started smoking weed, right? And then weed, people might not think so, but I think it is. Weed is a gateway to other drugs. And that's what happened, man. It just led to other drugs.
Like what other drugs?
Well, for one, I started smoking crack, right? Primos, right? A lot of people know what's up with Primos, P-Dogs. So yeah, we started making it snow in Long Beach. You know how that goes. We used to make it snow in Long Beach. We used to sell it, and we used to smoke it. I know the number one rule is don't get high off your own supply. But you know what? As a teenager, what do you do, man? You're having fun. Sometimes, like I said, I don't have no worries in the world. I'm living with my mom, my dad. I'm slanging dope. We're having fun. We're getting high. So I started smoking P-Dogs, then got introduced to PCP, which I didn't like. I think I smoked that like 2 or 3 times. That was the worst one ever, man. I mean, you can't control it.
What's the effects of PCP?
Well, one time, I don't even know what this dude's name is, man, but it was my homeboy's cousin. He picked me up at like 7 in the morning, right? He came to my house, knocked on my window. Hey, what's up, man? Come with me. We went to Martin Luther King Park over there off of Orange, and I think it's like 19th or something like that, MLK Park in Long Beach. And we went over there. It was early in the morning, and he dipped his cigarette in that bottle, which I already knew what it was, right? He dipped it in the bottle of PCP, and then he lit it up. And I took like 2 or 3 hits, and I was like 15 at that time, and I just remember after I hit it, I just heard like this loud wah 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 wah, and then everything just kind of slowed down, right? And it sucks. It sucks because he left me there, and I put my head down, and I didn't get up for like 5 hours, man. So the effect, I can't really tell you exactly. All I remember is like putting my head down, hearing that noise, and going. It just sounded like sizzling, like. Zzz. It was a weird feeling, man. I didn't like it. That's why I didn't do it more than 2 or 3 times, because I was like, man, maybe I'm missing out on something, But yeah, PCP was and it is an interesting drug. I don't know if people still do it, because obviously every year something else comes out. But yeah, that was an interesting one, man. Would I do it again? Fuck no, man. But that was insane, man.
And after the PCP, what you get into after that?
Well, after that, I started doing LSD. I got heavy into LSD, which a lot of people know as acid. I got heavy into acid because, again, it was all through my brother, right? And I don't blame him for anything. It's my fault, right? It's my fault to consume whatever I consume. I did ask him for permission. I was like, hey, man, you guys laughing at all kinds of stuff. I don't see anything funny, but they're laughing, bro. And I was like, man, it looks fun, right? So I started taking acid, and I ended up loving that for, man, all of high school. Because that's one thing that I think a lot of people, and I'm gonna put this out there, maybe not LSD per se, but I do want a lot of people to try out mushrooms, because mushrooms opens up your mind. A lot of people say it opens up the third eye, right? And I believe it does, because after doing mushrooms and LSD, I saw the world different, and that's why I like that drug. Because, and I don't even want to call it a drug, because to me that's something that I think a lot of people need to do to realize what's really out there, man, because you get to see the real world of what it is and how it is. I did that for, like I said, 3 or 4 years, and I really I encourage people to at least try microdosing on mushrooms, you know. But yeah, that was like one of the craziest ones. Like I said, I did crack. Uh, I rest in peace, my brother-in-law. I'm not gonna mention his name, but rest in peace, my brother-in-law with the crack. Real quick, um, he's the one that introduced me to, like, I guess free basing is what it's called, right? Like doing it straight off the pipe. That was very interesting for me because the high is crazy. The high is like a minute long, 2 minutes long, and right away you want another one. Well, anyways, me and him, we ended up doing that for months and months. I don't suggest that for anybody, but that was, you know what? A lot of things that we do when we're young, I don't regret it. It was something that we did, something that we experimented, something that we got actually out of, and we survived. But yeah, that was insane. Crack, PCP, LSD, and then came the big one, bro, which is speed. That right there, that right there. My mom, I put my parents through a lot with that one. Again, I was like 16. It was in between, obviously high school. It was in between LSD and speed because, it's an upper, right? LSD is also an upper. It keeps you up for whatever X amount of hours. But the minute I fell in love with that is that's when I focused just on that. Now I wasn't, yeah, I was an addict, but I wasn't one of those where it's like, oh, I need to have it. I need to. No, if it was there, it was there. Obviously, we wanted to buy it. You know what I mean? Obviously, we wanted to buy it. But just doing that, it felt like you had more time in the day. It's like you had every minute of the hour to do anything you ever wanted to do, man. It made you feel like you could do anything, and time it's like time stopped, but it didn't because one day you're up and 3 days later you're still up, and it felt crazy. Obviously, if you guys ever done it, the only thing that sucks is the come down. But doing that and then working for somebody that sold it and having access to that, I think was the biggest. I want to say that one I do regret. That one I do regret because I put my mom, like I said, I put my mom through a lot of stuff. I would leave my house for days, weeks even, and then I ended up actually moving out and living with this lady and studying for her. And that right there, I do regret because it took a lot of time away from my parents and a lot of time from my life, and I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? You think you're having fun, and maybe you are, at the time, but you look back and you're like, and I don't regret anything. Like I said, I don't regret anything, but you look back and you start thinking, I could have done something else. I was like 17, 18. I think I was on that stuff for 4 or 5 years of my life. I say 10 years initially. I would say 10 years because it felt that long, but it might have been like 5 years of my life. It just felt so crazy, and how much time that drug can take away from you and away from your loved ones. Luckily, I did it at a young age. And, I think when you do stuff like that at a young age, you get it out your system. You know what I mean? Some people don't. Some people get stuck, and it is what it is. I lost a few homies out for that. I ended up actually getting locked up because we went somewhere. We went to, I think it's called Wayside, the facility out there, and the person I was selling for went to go visit her boyfriend, and we had a big pelota. It looked like a golf ball or whatever, probably a little bit bigger in the car, and the sheriffs walk around. I'm up for 7 days, 6 days at this time. Uh, and like I said, man, it's an interesting thing, man, because you lose track of time. So, anyways, I'm up and I'm chilling with the homie, and the sheriffs are walking around the parking lot because we're chilling in the parking lot. I was up for about 6 days at that time, and they're like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And well, I'm like, "Well, we're just waiting for the homegirl. She went to go visit her boyfriend, whatever." And so, like, you guys got anything? And they could see we're sweating. It's like 75 degrees outside, and we're sweating. Like, come on, homie, you can see the sign. So they take us out the car, You know, they put us in the back of the patrol car and they search the car, they find it, and my homeboy, which was older than me, well, he's still older than me at the time, and I think I was like 17 or whatever. He pinned it on me. You know, they took us down to the station, they separated us, and he pinned it on me, and it's kind of messed up, right? Because how do you call a homeboy when they do that, right? You don't call that person a homeboy. But the reason why he did that because he had priors and he knew he was going to do a lot of time. So when they interrogated me, again, mind you, I'm up for 6 days, right, chilling, and they're like, "Hey, man, this is what we found. Your homeboy said it's yours, you know." And I was like, "Whatever, man. You know, you guys know the code. You can't say anything, right?" I said, "Whatever, it's mine, it's mine." He said, "Are you sure you're gonna take the rap for it?" I said, "If he said it's mine, then it's mine." So he's the detective or the cops. They were like, "Okay, well, you're looking at 15 years, you know, for having that, right?" And mind you, I'm 17 at the time. And I'm up. I don't care. I'm like, whatever. I said, "Okay, well, whatever. It is what it is." So it's okay, man. Go make your phone call. So I get up. I go call my mom, and this hurts, man. So I call my mom. She answers the phone, and you know, she's like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, she don't say what's up. She's like, "Yeah, let me go," and I'm like, "I'll see you in 15 years," and I just hang up.
It's like that?
Just like that. I just said, "I'll see you in 15 years." I just hang up. I didn't want to hear nothing. I didn't want to hear why. Nothing. I just say, "I see you in 15 years." I hung up. I didn't know, man. I didn't know how much that was gonna hurt me till years later. You know what I mean? So they ended up booking me, and they took me to Silmore. I forgot the name of that place, but it's in Silmore. I went in there, and sure enough, I'm doing time in there. I think I only did, luckily, two weeks, 2.5 weeks. The DEA came, they got me, and this is crazy because I've only been to LP for like 4 days or a week, and then I went to Silmore for 2 weeks. Right? That's as far as I got in the system as a youth. So when I went in there and the DA rejected the case, they said it's a DA reject, right? Man, you guys don't know, and if you've been there, you know what's up, man. It felt so good. I ended up getting, you know, obviously I came down in there. Coming down in the system sucks, man. You start seeing, because I thought it was a game. I thought it was like a movie. I'm like, all right, cool, man. I'm in here. I'm in a movie, and I'm everything. Nothing's computing, bro. Nothing's coming through, right? So I'm chilling in there, and I'm like, all right, cool, man. People are hitting me up. Where you from? Where you from? And I tell them where I'm from. You know, Long Beach. Obviously, I don't say my crew or whatever, but I tell them I'm a tagger. You know, and that's when tagging and gangs were really going at it, homie. Taggers and gangsters were really going at it. So I tell them, you know, I'm a tagger. You know, from Long Beach, blah blah blah. I tell them where I'm from, whatever. And nobody did anything. Nobody said anything. Obviously, they tested me. You know, but I just remember, I remember getting the Bible, right? I don't know if they give you the Bible all the time, but I had a Bible, and I was reading Revelations, and that's the only thing that kept my mind kind of like focused. I don't even know why, because Revelations is the worst part you can read of the Bible. So, anyways, I get a DEA reject, you know, but I'm reading the Bible, and you know, obviously, when a lot of people are in jail, I'm gonna change the Bible, blah blah, right? And some people do, some people don't. It is what it is. Um, you know, my mom came to pick me up at midnight because they released me like around 8 p.m. My mom picked me up, you know, and I swear I would never do it again. That's what we say, right? But we still do it.
How long after?
Oh man, I think, you know, within a week, because you know you're outside now. You're outside. You're like, okay, well, fuck, it's over. Let me go ahead and get back to what I was doing. Yeah, it's a trip, man. It's a trip how life works, man. You know, you think you're gonna change because of something that happened, and you really don't, bro. I mean, like I said, some people do. Some people do. It didn't take me till years later to really change, man. But yeah.
What was it that made you change? What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Meeting my wife. Man. My wife. I gotta give all the credit to my wife. I met her, I want to say when I was like 21, 22, and she didn't like me being high. Now, mind you, I didn't get high off of speed. I was just smoking weed. And she just didn't like me being high off of weed, you know, and she was like, you know, if you're ever going to be on that, you know, don't call me to pick you up. And so we could go out and do things because I don't want you to be on that. You know, I feel like you're not yourself, right? And I was like, well, fuck it and whatever. Don't pick me up, right? You know how we are, bro. But I said to myself, you know what? This Heina right here, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car, so I couldn't pick her up. I was like, this Heina's picking me up. She's taking me to concerts because I'm a big metalhead, man. I love rock and roll. I love rock and roll. So she would take me out to concerts. She would take me out to events. She would take me out to parties. And those are things that I really didn't do because I normally kicked it at the hood, right? We normally kicked it. Yeah, we call it the hood anyway. I used to kick it at the garage, right? My homeboy's garage. And it gets boring. A bunch of dudes doing nothing, getting high and drinking, like that shit gets boring. So she showed me something else. And I was like, okay, if I want to kick it with this Heina, I'm going to stop smoking. She lets me drink, which is a lot worse, in my opinion. But I think well, I don't think, I know that's what happened, bro. That's what made me change everything. My wife. I give all the credit to her.
Awesome, man. So at what point did you get into the podcasting?
Whew. Well, I started YouTube in 2006, 2008, and I was actually doing action figure reviews back then. But I didn't get into podcasting till, man, I want to say 2016 or something like that, 2018, 16. But it intrigued me because I started seeing other people, right? I started seeing Hoodstocks, I started seeing American Cholo, Tony the Wizard. I think they all came up around the same time. I started seeing that part of YouTube because I would just see reaction videos. I would just see, action figure reviews. I would see prank videos. But when I started seeing people interview people on that level, it intrigued me. And I was like, well, I like to talk. I like to talk to people. And I was like, I want to try this out, man. So I initially started it, I want to say 2018, 19, maybe 19. Or maybe not. Maybe right after the seed thing happened, the big thing that happened in 2020. I think right around there. I made the big move from regular YouTuber, vlogger, or whatever, into that. Because I was like, well, people have interesting stories, bro. And we all want to hear it. We all want to hear what somebody has to say. And some people say, well, you might be getting the same person that this person got, but yeah, there might be getting the same person, but it's not always the same conversation. You understand? A lot of people have different way of talking to people, different way of getting other stuff from them that people may not have ever heard. And I think that intrigued me a lot.
So during the big C thing, you weren't doing anything? Or were you still?
I was doing stuff. I was doing reactions and stuff, but I wasn't really focused on podcasting.
Okay. So you were doing action figures.
Yeah.
You started off with action figures. And then you took you were still doing it, right?
Yeah, here and there.
Here and there. And then after the big C thing, that's when you transitioned into reaction videos, or was it podcasting?
It was in between. It was in between. I was still doing vlogging. I was doing filming locations, which I love, but that takes a lot of time and money, because you got to go out to these areas. So it was like right when all that hit, and it was easier to get people if you think about it, because there was no traffic.
Right.
People were going to work. People were ready to talk. So I think that's when it really, really hit, where I was like, all right, man, let's go full force on this. Let's go ahead and buy the equipment. Buy the equipment and let's do all that,
Yeah.
And that's what I think. That's when I fell in love with it, bro, because it is a passion. It's interesting, man. Because you get stories, like I said, you get stories, man, that you may or may not relate to, But it's awesome to hear people's stories and their struggles and everything. I didn't really have an idea of where I was going with it, I was like, okay, well, this person, he went to this podcast, I like him, let me reach out to him, and that was it. It wasn't really, I didn't have a focus, I didn't have like a lane, I didn't have anything. I just wanted, honestly what it was, and then all my videos are gone, so you guys can't go back to them. But what I wanted to do was have fun, have people come over to my house, drink and eat in front of the camera and just chop it up. That's it, man. I just wanted people to come over here to my house and have a good time. Just chop it up, eating and drinking, and wherever the conversation went, that's where it went. One thing I did learn, and shout out to Lucky, was when I had him over, and this was already in between a few people that I had, he said he doesn't like calling his podcast or his interviews. He said, I like to call them conversations because an interview, you have to focus on their history, their story. You have to have, bullet points on what they did and all kinds of stuff. You have to really do your homework on people when you call them interviews. When he said, I like to call them conversations, that way you don't have to mess it up and the conversation could go anywhere. That's when I said to myself, and I told him, can I use that? He said, do it, bro. That's when I started calling it conversations. You know what I mean? It was the West Coast Graffiti conversation or something like that, WCG conversations. And I find that very interesting because you can't mess it up. Once you call it a conversation, it's just you and him or you and them chopping it up. And that's it, just having a simple conversation. Wherever the story leads, that's where it's going to lead.
Right.
And yeah, that's when I found it very interesting.
So I noticed that there was a point where you were doing a lot of reactions to prison topics for a while. And you were gaining a lot of traction when you were doing that. A lot of traction. But at some point, you stopped doing it. Why did you stop?
Yeah. Well, that I love. Look, man, I thank you for that question, man. I love doing prison channel reactions because you think about it, man, these people that have been behind the wall for 5, 10, 15, 20 years are talking about their experiences, right? And I was like, okay, well, let me tap into this. Nobody had ever done it. And I say that because I know it. Nobody had ever done that. So when I started doing prison channel reactions, mind you, thank God, the only time I spent was 2 weeks in county jail, and that was over some BS, right? But when I hear people talking about the time and everything they did behind those walls, it felt like, okay, fine, let me hear what they're saying. But then it felt like they were glorifying it, right? And then I started like asking questions in between because that's what reaction channels do, right? Not only are they reacting, but they're asking questions, right? So me, myself, I was asking questions. Why is he saying this? Why is he saying that? And then I started getting, but people were loving it, right? People were loving it. They're like, oh man, West Coast, you're ignorant to this. You don't know what the hell's going on, but we love it, right? And I was like, cool. Well, like, don't, homie, that's why I'm asking all these questions. And people were loving it, man, because look, honestly, at the end of the day, I was asking questions that I knew or that I thought people wanted to hear that were in my shoes, that didn't know what it was, right? So I started getting a lot of traction. Like you said, I started getting a lot of traction. My channel started blowing up, man. And I was like, hell yeah, this is where it's at, man. I got monetized. Everything was going good. And I want to say like 2 years, a year and a half into that, I started getting, and it sucks to say it, but I started getting like threats, right? And I was like, wait a minute. You guys are sending me threats? You guys are sending me threats? I'm just the one reacting, homie. You know what I mean? But people were like, oh man, I can't wait to find you in the streets. I can't wait, to finally you'll probably expose your address or whatever. I'm gonna go get you, blah blah blah. You can't be talking about people like that. You can't be talking about gangs like that. You can't be talking about prison politics like that if you've never been in that life. And I get it 100%. I understand that, but at the same time, you're blaming me for something that you guys are doing? Nah. That's when I said, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I should change it up. Yeah, I did get scared. I did. 100%. Why? Because I was like, wait a minute. I put my family always out there with me. And I always tell them, hey, man, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to go to Santa Fe Springs Swabbing. You know what I mean? I was doing all kinds of stuff because, look, let's be honest, man. At the end of the day, when you're getting that much attention, people are loving what you're doing. And you're like, hell yeah, these people love what you're doing. These people are on your side, and then people wanted to meet me, right? They're like, oh man, I can't wait to meet you. And I did meet, I'm not saying I was a celebrity, but people were like, oh man, you're going to be over here. I'm going to go meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, man, let's chop it up. And I met a lot of people, right? But when they started threatening me, I got scared, homie. Let's be honest, I got scared. And I said, you know what? Maybe this isn't the thing for me, man. And I regret to this day, I regret stopping it. I regret it. Could I have been a bigger channel? Yeah, of course, man.
Why do you regret it now?
Because nobody did anything. Thank God, because look, again, I put my family first, always. Nobody did anything. Now, Can I go back to it? No, it's too late. But there's always something I think about, right? Things happen for a reason. You know, I stopped for a reason. Everything's written. Everything's written, man. You know what I mean? The book is written. Your life is already written. What you're doing today has already been written. What you're doing tomorrow has already been written. So what I did was already written. It was already in the books. There's nothing I can do about it. How I moved after that, again, has been already written. Now, if I wouldn't have stopped, it would have been awesome. But like I said, man, everything happens for a reason. And you know, my thing is, anybody that saw my videos back then knew and know that I'm genuine with what I said and what I do. I can't stress that enough, man. I I should have never stopped that. Never. It is what it is, Bobby. It is what it is.
You know, people got to understand when you're on social media, period, whether it's YouTube, whether it's IG, whether it's any other social media platform, there's going to be trolls. Trolls are notorious. The internet is undefeated.
Undefeated.
Okay, so you're going to be trolls. People are going to threaten you. People are going to do this and that, and it's all it's all trolling. At one point, somebody did release your address out.
Two people actually. Two people released
Two incidents. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, again, you know, it sucks because these people actually came to my house. These people came to my house. They sat down on my couch or, you know, on my podcast table, whatever you want to call it. They sat down with me. What do they call it? We broke bread or whatever they call it. You know, we were chilling. We had a good time. You know, people came to, like, one of them persons was being attacked through the video on the live chat. They were being attacked on the live chat. And they asked me 2 days later to take down the video, and I was like, nah, homie, like, you know what it is, man. I can't take the video was getting traction. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna take the video down, man. You know, I already told you what it is. I told you, I call my viewers West Coast Maniacs. I don't say that enough, but shout out to all the West Coast Maniacs out there. I told them, hey, the people that are on my channel are trolls. They're gonna get you, man. If they don't like you, if they see anything that they don't like, they're gonna attack you, homie. That's just what it is. This person wasn't he wasn't used to that, right? Being attacked like that. So I ended up taking down that video, but they constantly kept attacking this person, right? And to the point where they actually released his address and his information. And he blamed me for that. He blamed me for that. And I was like, wait a minute, how are you going to blame me for something that somebody else is doing? You know, I had already took the video down, and then I think it was months later, that's when this person drove by my house, you know, where I live, you know, released a video saying, hey, if anybody wants to go, this is where he lives, blah, blah. And he shot a whole video of where I live. Now I live in a mobile home park. Everybody knows that. Now, when you go in a mobile home park, it's like a maze, right? So you can't really find my house, right? But you know where it was at. So that was one incident. The other incident was somebody just posted the address, right? And that's when it gets scary, bro. That's when it gets scary because you're like, oh shit. Again, Bobby, again. People are not gonna do anything, bro. And I say this because they a lot of people talk a lot of shit, right? But thank God they didn't do anything. I'm just saying that because you're not that. I'm not that important. I'm not that important. I'm not that important. I'm not a celebrity. People are not gonna go to my house unless they really have something against me. But it got scary. It got scary, bro.
No, I can see why it got scary. Any time somebody puts your address out there, out in the open, you're vulnerable.
Exactly.
Can something happen? Yes. Has something happened in the past? Absolutely. To a couple of people. You know, we're not going to get into all that.
Definitely.
But it has happened, right?
Yes.
You poke the bear too many times, he's going to turn back and bite you.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the interesting part, man. I didn't know about trolling too much, man. Yeah, I knew about it, but it wasn't too much of a big deal for me, right? But again, when people, there's trolling, right? There's trolling, there's keyboard warriors, as people call it, there's keyboard warriors. But then there's people that actually know where you live, right? And that's when it gets real, right? When people actually know where you live, that's when you're like, okay, something's gonna happen. Something could potentially happen. You know, my wife. I think that's when I stopped doing interviews. This was like My last interview, shout out to Sky Presents Blanca. Shout out to Blanca. Shout out to Baby Girl. I think those were my last interviews, and that was at the beginning of this year.
So that was your last interview?
That was my last interview. And the year before that, I had a lot of good interviews. I think so, or conversations or whatever. But one of them got mad because I took him off the wall of fame, right? And I don't think this person actually exposed my address, but he trolled me hard, you know, where he was actually, because he doesn't do videos, but he was doing like podcasts and stuff like that. And
so he's a podcaster.
He's a podcaster, and I'll say his name, man. I mean, I don't got no shame, man. He goes by the name of Mega Man, and it's crazy, bro, because he came over and he had a great time with me. I got drunk that day, drunk, and again, my viewers are crazy. Like you said, the internet is undefeated, man. My viewers are crazy. Now, I don't know this man. You know what I mean? He reached out to me. He's like, hey, bro, I want to go on your podcast, and I think we have a good time, good conversation, blah, blah. We had already been talking for months through IG or whatever. And I said, yeah, cool. Now, mind you, I don't really know what he talks about because I only follow video podcasters. I don't really follow, audio podcasts because to me, I want to see visual. I was in that visual podcasting world, right? So when he came and he was like, hey, what's up, man? And he started telling me all kinds of stuff like, hey, man, I've been with Tony A. I've been with American Cholo. I don't know if he was here before or after. But, and I was cool. Yeah, you seem like a cool guy. You're from Long Beach. We could chop it up. You like beer. I like beer. We're going to chop it up. Everything was cool. We had like a 5-hour sit down and it was all cool. I got faded at the end. But, something happened after that where people were talking about, some personal stuff that I do not condone. I do not condone. And he got mad, so he started putting stuff out there, false information, and started telling people that I was hating on them. And one of them, shout out to Bozo. One of them was Bozo. He had an interview with Bozo, and he said something about what's the deal with what's Graffiti hating on you, and Bozo replied and everything. I ended up reaching out to Bozo. Through Instagram. Hey, what's up, homie? Like, there's West Coast Graffiti. And I gave him my formal name because I was like, look, homie, I'm going to tell you my name. This is who I am. I just heard this podcast with you and Mega Man, and I'm going to tell you straight up, this guy's putting words in my mouth. So that's when I knew this guy was really hating on me, right? So Bozo reached out to me. We chopped it up, and everything. And so I think that was the breaking point where I have this my storage where people, when they were going to my house, they would write their names. That's when I I made a video. It was a short, and I crossed his name out, right? And the other person that exposed my address too. I crossed his name out, And Commitment Soldier reached out to me. He was like, hey, homie, what's up, man? I thought we were about unity. I thought we were about the raza. I thought we were about lifting up people. And I said, hey, homie, look, let me tell you like this, man. And this is what I told Commitment Soldier. I said, look, homie, I'm going to tell you straight up. There's one thing about lifting up raza. There's one thing about unity. But there's another thing when you see the other side of that person. And he was like, what are you talking about? So I ended up explaining to him what happened. And he was like, all right, I see what it is. Hey, sometimes there's misunderstandings. I said, nah, this wasn't a misunderstanding, man. This is a man attacking me and putting my name in other people's, I don't know how to say it, man. But just putting my name out there in a negative way, right? Where I never did anything to this man, but be hospitable, right? He came to my house. We drank, we ate, everything, right? So, yeah, I don't appreciate that, and after that, I just stopped talking to this person, but he kept attacking my character. And one thing is, you don't want to pay attention to it, but you have to be aware of what's going on out there, right? You have to be aware of what people are saying about you. And that's what it was, man. This guy was attacking me. He went to other podcasts talking about, he claims to be the best podcaster in Long Beach. You could have that, bro. You could have that. You could have all of that. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about that. I just care about entertaining people. That's it. My thing is, I'm here to entertain the audience. If you're entertained, then I'm happy, you know. And so far, I think I've been doing a good job. You know, I don't care about that. I don't care about best podcaster in love. I only said that to, like you say, poke the bear, homie. Like I only said that because I was like, wait a minute, I don't care, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. And there was another guy at Taco Day Workout. Shout out to Taco Day Workout out there doing your thing. You know, hopefully you succeed in whatever the hell you're doing, man, because you know you're taking the acting route. I can see that. You're out there with I think it's a Chicano Hollywood. So shout out to you, man. You know, he was another person that kind of, you know, tried to attack me or whatever. And again, when you're from Long Beach, you represent Long Beach, right? When you're from LA, whatever South Central, wherever you're from, man. I try to represent my city the best I can. So that's the only reason why I was saying I was the best podcaster in Long Beach, you know, because those two people were saying it, and I was just like, well, let me make fun of the situation. But yeah, man, Steven, aka Mega Man, you know, he needs to really think about what he says, man. And everybody has to think about what they say, man. Sometimes we say it in the heat of the moment. I understand. Sometimes we talk too much and we don't realize it because you know we're angry or whatever it is, man. You just want to talk shit about people, and that's what it is. But sometimes you gotta sit down, and even if you say it, you can delete that video or that audio and be like, you know what? Let me delete it, and we'll start over. You know. But yeah, that's the internet is crazy, bro.
So it's safe to say that he's scratched all of the off of the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone, bro.
All right. So on other news, there's a rumor going around that South Park Mexican SPM is going to be released from prison not too long, and you know what? He's got a huge following right now, and it seems to be getting bigger every day. What do you got to say about that?
You know, I saw a video. I forgot who put it out there, man. But there was a person on YouTube that put out a video saying, because Mr. Criminal, shout out Mr. Criminal, man. That's another person that's out there doing his thing, man. He just got into the podcasting game. He said that, or was it Mr. Capone? One of them, too. I think it was Mr. Capone. I'm sorry, Mr. Capone. He said he has a bigger following. He has more numbers than SPM, South Park Mexican, right? SPM. He said he's bigger than him, right? But that person that put that video out there put the actual numbers of the streams, Capone versus SPM. Now, as of late, within the last, I want to say 3 weeks, people have been going off the chain on SPM because of the Jenny 69 situation, right? And it's crazy because now you're making this person relevant again. Not that he wasn't, but now he's relevant again. So you're giving him more traction. Not too long ago, shout out to Goto's American Cholo, Boo Boo, I think Miss Crazy, and everybody that was on that podcast at the American Cholo podcast. When Goto said that SPN was going to get released, I think early next year or sometime next year, that's when everybody started going crazy, right? They're like, oh, okay, he's going to get out. And that's when he said, you know what? Let me let him tell his story, right? Look, nobody can condone what he is accused of. You know, obviously people are saying, well, he went to jail. He had two opportunities to either plead guilty and do the 5 years or fight his case and do, I think he was sentenced to 43 years or something like that.
45 years.
45 years, right? So he ended up fighting his case, right? He's fighting his case. Obviously, you don't want to plead guilty because then you know for a fact that this man is guilty, right? But for the people that were affected to actually be on trial, and it sucks, man, because you know nobody should ever go through that. For the people that went on trial for that incident and to actually testify and be affected physically, mentally, it sucks. Do I believe it? According to the black and white, yes. What's going to happen when he gets out? We have yet to find out. Who's going to get the story? That's what I want to know. Who's going to get the story? Because that's going to be the hottest story. Now, is anybody that we know in our circle, because I call it a circle because we are a small circle, is anybody that is in our circle going to get that story? Is anybody going to want to sit down with this man? Possibly. You're going to get the hot story. You're going to get the views. You're going to get the subscribers. but then you're gonna be looked at as a bad person. So do you want that? I don't know.
I think if it does break, I think it'll break in Texas, where he's from. Someone's going to break the story there, I believe. Uh, it's a very controversial topic that's going to be discussed when he comes out, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know that he was convicted in 2002
Yeah.
for aggravated assault of a minor.
Yep. And that's the thing. That's the thing. People like, okay, so according to the jail policies or prison policies in Texas, they don't really align with the ones over here in California, right? In California, we have a very strict, according to what I know, right? Very strict policies over here behind the walls, right? Over there, it's more lenient, right? I don't think they deal with segregation as much as we do over here. You know, the SNY and all that stuff. So over there, like Goto said, over there, people are bumping them in the streets. People are bumping them in their house, at parties, everything. So it doesn't affect them as much. Why? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. Again, it's a story that people want to hear. People want to hear what he has to say when he comes out. You know. Now, as far as me, when that happens, if I'm still doing reactions or if I'm not, and when I touch on that, yeah, for sure, man. Everybody wants to hear everybody's opinion on situations, you know, and that's what we're here to do, man. We're here to talk about situations, give our opinion, give our reaction, you know. Now, the persons that are gonna interview them or interview him when he gets out, maybe he'll come over here to California. Do they have to be from the streets, or is it going to affect them if they're not from the streets, like you said, residents or whatever? Can a resident interview this person, and will he be looked at as a bad person? I don't want to put this out there, but I'm gonna put this out there. Shout out to Flyboy Inc. He actually put a post out there. He put a post out there this morning saying that somebody from SPM's camp reached out to him saying that he can get an exclusive interview with SPM right now. I'm talking about November 2023. And then right away he deleted that post. I didn't screenshot the post. I should have. I was in a comment saying, hey homie, weren't you about that life? I don't think you can do that. Again, that's just my opinion on what I hear when people talk about being active, non-active, or being, you know, with the bit, whatever, right? So he ended up deleting that post. What would have happened if he would have got that interview right now? You know, would he have been looked at bad? Because he's trying to do good, right? He's trying to go into all these events. He's carrying himself in a different way. You know what I mean? A journalist, a reporter. That was an interesting Instagram post. Flyboy, if you see this, it was interesting, and for whatever reason you deleted it. You know.
He's eligible for parole in 2024, so we're going to see what happens then. Another person who's eligible for parole is Yolanda.
Selena, anything for Selena.
Yeah, Selena's killer, right?
Yeah.
Saldivar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? When she gets released, how do you think people are going to react to her?
From what I hear, again, you have to be, if you're interested in these type of things, you have to be mindful of what's going on in the internet, right? You have to see what people are talking about. Now, some people say they want to delete her, you know, and you guys know what I mean. Some people say they want to delete her because they're like, you know what, she should not be out here, you know. Some people will say they want to get the interview. Some people want to know why she did it, you know, and how she feels now. Well, 30 years ago, she did this thing. I think it was like 1995 or something like that when Selena passed or whatever. Some people want to know what she's going to say when she comes out, but some people do not want to see her out, and some people want to delete her. And it sucks to say it that way, but a lot of people love Selena to this day. To this day, man. I mean, if you guys know Scar, he has Selena tatted on his neck, man. It's a trip because this woman, this young lady that was making noise in the Tejano movement ended up losing her life to somebody that she trusted. Do I want to hear what what's her name again?
Yolanda Salvador.
Yolanda. Do I want to hear what Yolanda has to say? Of course, definitely, definitely, because we want to know her motive. I think she was stealing money or whatever. She got caught. Fine, whatever. But there's got to be more to that. Because fine, you get caught, they're gonna fire you. You move on. They're also saying that she was in love with Selena. There's so many things that we want to hear. We want to let her clear the air and clear her name, but she can't. But we want to hear what she has to say. Are people gonna attack her? Definitely, bro. Definitely. Is she gonna have to be in protective custody outside? Definitely. Definitely, man. But we still want to hear what Yolanda has to say. That's gonna be an interesting one. I'm gonna have to have my ears open, my eyes peeled, and I gotta see what this has what transpires from this one, man. Because that's gonna be a very interesting one, man. Do I love Selena's music? Couple songs. Yeah, fuck yeah. You know, I don't own any of them, but if it comes out of my Pandora or whatever, I'm gonna bump it for sure. You know.
In your opinion, do you think that she served enough time, or do you think
Never,
that
never. I'll tell you guys one thing. That's why I was doing prison reaction stuff, because I don't think anybody that has committed a crime knowingly committing this crime, whether it's murder, theft, whatever, arson, anything you do knowingly, even unknowingly, because a lot of people are like, oh man, well, I was mentally incapable of knowing what I was doing. Look, homie, I don't care who you are, you did it. You did it. I always say this, man, and it sucks to say this way. A lot of people get released from jail after murdering people. Like, you took somebody's life. I believe an eye for an eye. I hate to say it that way, man. But if anybody should ever take anybody's life, they need to be deleted as well, man. And it sucks because the death penalty is out of California. I don't know if they're trying to bring it back, but in my opinion, man, when you take somebody's life for whatever reason, man, you should be dealt with the same hand. The same hand, man. Even robbery, man. If you're continuously robbing people and you get out in 5 years, a year later, what? Nah. These people are not fit to be in outside. You know, they're not fit to be out in the public, man. So, do I feel like Yolanda served enough time? No. Nah. I don't feel like a lot of criminals that commit crimes serve enough time. I know people are like, well, the system isn't helping you. They're supposed to rehabilitate you. That's what the system is for. Look, I think it was Chris Rock that said it in one of his specials. Prison is not supposed to be somewhere where you can go over there, have 3 meals a day, whether they're disgusting or not, free medical, free everything. Prison is supposed to be prison. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. You're supposed to not want to go back. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. There's a reason why other countries deal with prisoners differently. There's a reason why their punishment is harder on the criminals than here in the United States. A lot of people talk about Mexico. Oh, in Mexico, if you don't have money, you don't eat. That's the way it should be here in California, man. I'm sorry. If you commit the crime, you shouldn't be allowed to eat, bathe, anything. Again, it's inhumane. Fine, it's inhumane. People are like, oh man, West Coast, that's just disgusting, man. That's inhumane. People are gonna suffer. What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do, man? You want them to live a good life? Answer me that. I say no. I say no. So, Yolanda, I'm sorry, but you should rot in jail.
I think a lot of people have that same opinion as well. You know, uh, how long somebody should serve for a murder. People have different opinions on that.
Most definitely.
You know, you do the crime, you do the time. So, rewinding back to Jenny 6ix9ine. She was recently in a altercation, as you know, and with Lady Pinks, and you know, it was trending. It's still trending. You know, what's your reaction to that whole situation? Because a lot of people think that she was set up. There's a lot of speculations going out there. What's your reaction to that?
So, again, when I made a reaction video to that, I had a credible source that told me that Jenny 69 actually initiated the conversation between her and Miss Pinks, right? And I say it's a credible source because I know this person, right? But anybody could say anything. But this person told me what happened because another person that was there told him exactly how it went down. So Jenny 69, she's always talking about she's with the business, she's talking about she's doing this, she's doing that, you know. And the thing is, when you talk about being about that life, you got to understand people are going to test you, you know. And when she said, and this is a big thing right here, when she says she's a buchona, that's crazy because people are like, you can't just throw that out there and not think that people are not going to test you. It's like saying you're a gangster and you're not. You know what I mean? A buchona, if you guys don't know what a buchona is, look it up. Buchona is somebody that's with the business, that comes from somebody that's with the business. So you have to carry yourself in that manner. Now, was Miss Pinks invited to that video shoot? Was she going to be part of that video shoot? Or was it all coincidental? Nothing's coincidental. Nothing is coincidental. Do I blame Down AK Kilo? I don't know. Because he's the one that was running that video. He invited Jenny because she has a track in it, or she has some kind of verse in it, so she had to be there. Is Miss Lady Pink in that track as well? I don't know. Maybe she is, maybe she wasn't. But you have to understand, when you know that people have beef, are you gonna put them in the same room together? Nah. You have to be responsible for everybody that's gonna be on your video. Was it a setup? I feel it was. I feel it was a setup, man. Did Jenny get the bat into the stick? Yeah, but that was her fault too, man. Don't talk all that shit, man. Stop talking all that shit. I can't stress that enough. A lot of people talk a lot of shit and they don't think that they're gonna get caught up for it, man. So yes, do I feel it was set up? Yes. Do I feel it was dirty? Of course. Do I feel it could have been different? Yeah. But it was gonna happen one day or another, you know. It just so happened that day, and she got off light. Yeah, they say two osas. They say two osas attacked her, and you know, unfortunately, it went down that way. Do I give anybody credit? Nah, man. I mean, shit happens for a reason, you know. I mean, she took it like a champ, you know. But I think she should have. I don't know. She needs to move differently. A lot of people say that she has bodyguards, and she should have took bodyguards. She's a big figure. She's a big important person, a personality. You know, she should be more responsible on how she moves.
I agree. Anybody of that status should always walk around with somebody, even if it's one bodyguard. You know, you never know what could happen. Look what happened at that incident.
Exactly.
It happened.
Yeah. And shout out to Flyboy again. He was there. He covered her up. He took the putazos.
Yeah, he was actually her bodyguard.
Yeah, he was actually her bodyguard.
Yeah, he ended up being her buddy. That's hilarious because there's a he posted a on his post a flyer of her carrying her. It was hilarious, man.
But yeah. She needs to really think about how she moves from now on. You know.
Cool. Any message you want to give to the trolls out there?
Man, you know what? Keep doing your job. Keep doing your job, man. You know, I can't stress this enough, man. We're here for you guys, and you guys have fun trolling us, and I understand. I get it, man. You know, do you guys get sometimes you guys get really aggressive, and you guys, you know, se pasan de lanza. But it's cool, man. You know what? It is what it is. That's your job, as our job is to do what we do. So trolls, keep doing your job, man. You know, just be careful. Be careful what you do, because sometimes se pasan de verga, you know. But it's cool. It's cool. Look, everybody has a job to do. Look, the way I see it right here in this world that we're living in right now, in this universe or whatever you want to call it, we all serve a purpose, right? You serve a purpose. I serve a purpose. The bums serve a purpose. Anybody that's living in this world serves a purpose, right? Whether it's working, whether it's trolling, whatever it is that you do in this world, we all have a purpose, and that's what we're doing. We're serving our purpose. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, sometimes it does hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes that shit does hurt, but it is what it is, man. I need to, and that's why I don't respond to nobody anymore. I need to really brush it off and continue doing what I do.
That's all you have to do, man. Keep moving, keep pushing. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't even worry about it. That's what you do.
Exactly. That's what we have to do, bro.
What we all do.
Yes, everybody, man. Because there's incidents where people talk and then they might say something that they shouldn't, but they can't take it back because it's already out there. Some people record and screenshot everything in that moment, and once it's on the internet, it's out there forever, man. So be careful what you say and do, man. You know, move accordingly. Obviously, we get hot-headed and we want to address some issues. Recently, I addressed a couple of people, you know, because I felt like I had to, you know. When people put your first name out there, nah, homie, you gotta be careful, man. You know, if you're gonna put somebody's name out there or somebody's address or put information about somebody, be ready. Be ready to get that comeback, you know, that get back or whatever, you know. So move accordingly. Be respectful. This is the world that we live in, homie. This is the world that we live in. This is the world that, and I'm talking about the YouTube world. The YouTube Yarda. Shout out to my boy Gil. This is the YouTube Yarda. Move accordingly, homie. You know, be respectful. Be mindful. Because if you're not, hey, West Coast Graffiti is ready to get you all day, every day, homie.
Keep it within the boundaries.
Keep it within the boundary. Keep it respectful.
Absolutely. Well, West Coast, thanks for coming down, man. I appreciate you rolling up. Wish you nothing but the best of luck on your reaction videos and whatever you got planned for 2024, brother.
Gracias, Bobby. Gracias for the invitation. I love it.
You got it, brother. We'll do it next time.
Simón. Let's get it.